Hey, slash I do buckaroos. How the heck are you? So here's what I decided to do here is do two, count them, one, two, I got two, baby. Two cocktails using all Rocktown products and only one change. So here's what I got. I got two cocktails. Both cocktails are going to use the Rocktown single barrel cast strength Arkansas straight rye. It's a beautifully done rye at a whole lot. 57. You're gonna make me do math, damn it. 57.64. So what we got? We got 115 and change going on. Read a little bit from here. Our straight rye whiskey is slowly distilled in our copper pot still. What's interesting is what I was hoping for. They don't give me the exact amount of rye, which I wish they did, but nevertheless, it's an incredibly done rye. Said both cocktails will have that, as well as the Rocktown salted vanilla flavored vodka. This stuff is crazy good. So both cocktails will have the rye and the salted vanilla. The first one I'm having with you, the third ingredient, is a creme de cacao at 48%. And in my opinion, this is the very best you're ever going to find. I mean, forget about those commercial products. This one is just insanely good. So both cocktails will have the first two, then I've added this third for this one. And just to keep it simple, I've garnished them both exactly the same with a dark cherry. Wow. So I've got the rye, right? So, but what I've got going on here is I've got those chocolate and vanilla notes coming together. The rye is the star. It is my belief that every great cocktail uses the Manhattan as a template. Some will say the old fashioned, but I'm going to say the Manhattan more so than the old fashioned. Why would I say that? For the most part, so the old fashioned, they're both very similar, right? The only difference is the Manhattan uses the liquor, the sweet vermouth, and the bitters, whereas the old fashioned uses the liquor, sugar, or a simple, and the bitters. This one adds a third liquor. Oh, I did forget to tell you that I added the chocolate bitters to this, or cocoa bitters to this one. So I guess there is two differences, the bitters. But there's one key ingredient change I should add. Gosh, that is delicious, though. But the sweetener here is the salted vanilla and the creme de cacao. There is no additional going on. Gosh, that is good though. That's a nice cocktail. I can't believe nobody's done something like that though. But here's my thing. Here's my hypothesis: is that I feel like I mean I'm an old guy in the business. In fact, I didn't even become a professional bartender until I was 58. But so most it's the younger folks that are setting the trends, if you will. And I do believe that they tend to want to make everything more complicated than it needs to be. You've got a lot of 6, 7, 8 ingredient drinks where you could do the exact same thing in 4 or 5 if you're really paying attention to what you're doing. But I think a lot of things are complicated just for the sake of being complicated, and it just doesn't make sense to me. Because I'm of that, I guess I'm of that other school, and I hate to say old school, but I want to say other school. Whereas you work with what you got, right? You don't have to make things complicated. Look at the ingredients you have on hand. See what you can do if you want to come up with a different flavor. But you don't need 6, 7, 8 ingredients to make a great cocktail. You should never need more than 4. Then again, I mean, I'm an analog man in a digital world. I will not shy away from that. But it just would. I get so as a bartender, I get folks coming in. Can you do this? Can you do this? What about this cocktail on the menu? What about this one? I said, yes, I can. Yes, I can. And here's what I can tell you about this. Here's what I can tell you about that. But here's what else I can do. You tell me you tell me your favorite liquor. What's your liquor? You tell me your liquor of choice. What flavor combination are you looking for? And I will get there in 3 ingredients rather than 6. What I have accomplished by doing that is one, a rapport with the customer, and then 2, well, I've engaged them, right? I've let them know that I'm right there. I'm going to come up with a cocktail just for them. And I've got so many customers now that'll come in and say, Tom, can you do this, but like this? And I say, oh, yeah. Yeah, I can. I want to do most of our simple syrups. There are a few that we buy, but for my cocktails that I design, I always make my own. I'm not relying on somebody else. I know what I want, so I come up with the flavors I want. So, can you do this? Oh, yeah, I can. As a matter of fact, uh, but I think a lot of that is upbringing, right? I grew up having to improvise no matter what I did, no matter what field of endeavor I was in, you had to improvise. So you have that to fall back on, right? So now as a bartender, I'm carrying that over. I'm using that knowledge of, improvisation, right? Working with what you got. Okay, you like this flavor? Okay. This is what I have on hand. This is how I can get there. And that is how I've built a steady clientele that will come in specifically on my shift to see me because they know I will build what they want. Because a lot of customers, they have an idea or they have a vision, but they don't necessarily know how to get there. I will get them to their vision. Oh, yeah, this is the flavor. Okay, this is what I got. Let's try this. If you don't like it, we'll do something else. And I've never had one say, oh, Tom, that's terrible. I've got one particular regular that always comes in, or when they come in, I should say, uh, because they like about every liquor. It depends on the mood. I said, "What are you feeling today?" They'll give me, rum, tequila, whiskey, whatever. I said, "Okay, this is what I'm thinking for you today." And I said, "Okay, that's it." I jokingly refer to myself as an alcohol savant, but part of that's because I have an idea what my folks want. I can look at that very particular customer and say, I have a feeling this is what you're looking at today. I can tell if they want something spirit forward or liquor forward, or if they're more relaxed, they want something more fruit forward, a little sweet. It is having that ability to read the customer. I feel like I do well, rather than just focusing on just the cocktail or just the liquor. You got to read your customer, know what they want at that moment, knowing that not everybody is exactly the same all the time. And I feel like that's what I do well. More so than putting together a cocktail, which is important, but reading that customer at that moment, putting together that right cocktail for them at that moment in time. And that's what I enjoy doing at this particular stage of my life as a very old man. As an old man, I'm 60. Yeah, man, I am feeling old. But then again, I feel rather blessed as well in a lot of ways. I mean, my dad at 60 had already had three heart attacks. I've got a cousin a couple years older. He's already had a couple. I think he's had three heart attacks actually in a stroke. I've got another cousin 4 years older. He's had all sorts of health troubles as well, and I'm on three three prescription medications. So, and I'm clearly overweight as you can see. So, I feel lucky as an old fat man to be as in as good of health as I am. One of our regulars, and I don't want to mention his name, I won't even mention it specially. I'll just say he's a doctor. We've talked about certain things and health, and he says, "But Tom, I've watched you move. I mean, you're active. Clearly, you know you need to lose weight, but I can see. I mean, you've got mobility. You're active. Because I see a lot of folks that look like you that can't move like you can." So it's okay. Well, thank you. I'm not, sort of, but I guess my point is take the compliments where you, yeah, but no, you need to make some changes. That's kind of what I've been working on. We've had some things going on lately where I haven't been able to keep as many appointments as possible, but I have worked with I've been working with a physical therapist, or not physical therapist, but a trainer this year to work on some strength issues. So I am trying to lose some weight, but I'm more concerned about health than the actual number. And I do feel a lot healthier and I do feel happier working with this trainer. Because I've worked with a lot of trainers in the past that never really get personal with you. Want to put you on a treadmill for 30 minutes and they'll say, "Oh, do this, do this, do this, do this." But this guy will actually talks to you, right? He gets personal. He wants to know what you want to work on, why you want to work on that. And the exercises he gives you, he tells you exactly why you're doing it and exactly what muscle group that's good for. And I've never been happier working with a personal trainer. Obviously, I still got a long way to go, but but again, I guess the bottom line is I feel better. Although I know I still need to lose a significant amount of weight, I am feeling better both physically and mentally, and I think that's what a lot of folks overlook is when they get on a diet, they feel better physically, but they don't always feel better mentally. Some get too caught up on just losing the weight rather than being healthy. And losing weight doesn't necessarily make you healthy. And I think that's something that sometimes gets lost. So, anyways, I talked a long time for this cocktail. Didn't mean to. Got up on another subject. Anyways, let me come back with cocktail number two. I'll be right back. Okay, so I mentioned there was one difference in this cocktail, but I forgot about the bitter. So there's actually two, but well, the main ingredients are the same. The main ingredient is the same. The Rocktown rye remains, um, and I also use the Rocktown salted vanilla as we talked about. But the ingredient change. Well, darn it. The ingredient change is this one. So instead of the creme de cacao, I used the ginger liqueur. So the other one had the rye, the vanilla, and the chocolate. This one uses the rye, vanilla, and ginger. So I got kind of a ginger snap thing going on. So because of that, I didn't use the cocoa bitters. I use the cardamom bitters to get a little spice note in there. And man, that is just delicious. I guess my point is that sometimes it's just one thing, right? So again, everything comes from Manhattan. Those basic ingredients, and you can take it from there where you want to go, right? So in this case, the two main ingredients were the rye and the salted vanilla. I made that decision early on that these two ingredients are going to be in both drinks. But how can I use one ingredient and make it two completely different drinks if I'm using two of the same ingredients? If two out of three ingredients are going to be the same, how can I change the drink completely? And honestly, that's all it takes. I took chocolate out and I added ginger. The cocktail does. I mean, it is nowhere the same as the other. Again, but the bitters does make a difference too. The adding the cocoa bitters accentuated the chocolate notes. Adding the cardamom accentuated the spice notes. And that's all it takes to make a great cocktail. Cilantro. Ah. Anyway, anyways, I digress, man. I do enjoy this bartender phase of my life, though. I gotta tell you, for years I managed people. At one point, I had a job where I had a staff of 32, was writing schedules. Uh, the last job I had before just becoming a bartender, I didn't have all that responsibility, but I still had to manage an inventory, a budget. I had to write menus according to guidelines. I had to teach said menus and was making fucking pennies because the person in charge didn't understand. Well, I'm just going to leave it at that. I just didn't understand. I went through, I don't know, 5 supervisors in 5 years. The previous supervisor before the last always made sure I always made sure my pay was above everybody else's. The last one to come in made sure that I got forgot about it every step of the way. So it went from let's make sure the kids are fed to let's keep it way under budget, just like that. And there was clearly there was clearly some issues. Anyways, I digress. Bottom line, I love what I'm doing now. I love what I did for those most of those 5 years. I love being able to take care of I love being able to feed people and as many people as possible. I love being able to make sure folks weren't going home hungry. And I was saddened when the new when 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 the latest bosses came in and made sure I couldn't do that anymore. But yeah, that's when I knew it was time for me to leave. I'm not doing anything quite as noble as that anymore, but I do enjoy formulating cocktails. I mean, we have a nice menu, but I've always let the folks come in. The menu's nice, but I can do other things as well. I'm kind of known as the classic cocktail guy. I'm the three ingredient cocktail guy. I just, sometimes I got to scratch my head. I think sometimes folks make things complicated for the sake of being complicated. Sometimes all you need is those two or three ingredients. And it just frustrates me when I, I give you that input and you're not listening to what I'm saying. So, But I do enjoy making cocktails. I do. I love pouring craft beer. So I've always been a craft beer guy, but now they have the ability to actually make cocktails, even the ones I don't design. I love making them all. I got to be honest with you. I get into the whole, I'm trying to put together a particular program that I can't really say out loud right now, but I was a few weeks ago. My wife and I were in Kansas City and went to a cocktail lounge called the Brass Monkeys. Kind of set up like a little speakeasy, and they do this. Uh, they call it alchemist experience, where they put together a cocktail for you. And I really want to do something like that where I work, but I haven't convinced my boss yet. So I'm still working on that particular presentation. I really think it could work because I know they sell a lot of those every night of the week, and I think I can do. I don't want to copy what they do because I want to make it more of a show. In all honesty, it was interesting what they did, but it wasn't as theatric as I hoped it would be. I want to make it more theatric. Anyways, I digress. But I digress, man. Tom, you're long-winded. I know it. Let it go, Tom. I got to be honest with you. I just love this stage of my life, man. I'm tired. I'm old. I ache at the end of the night. But this is the least stressful gig I've ever had in my 60 years. So I've never been happier going to work. The last 6 months, the job that I had previous to this, uh, I grabbed that handle. I could feel my heart jumping out of me. I could feel my blood pressure rising. I go into work now and I'm relaxed, and I get more relaxed. I get tired, I get achy, and sometimes I get irritated. But I'm happy as all hell with this job. I love baking cocktails. I love pouring the best craft beer in the city. And that's not hyperbole. That is the truth. We are genuinely doing I mean, there is no doubt. I mean, we can, I guess, best maybe a tough word to swallow. Um, there is nobody in town doing better quality beer than we are. We can talk about you like this style or that style better, but consistency, nobody is doing better beer than we are at this moment in time. And you got me making cocktails. Hell, man. The bartenders are awesome as well. But since I'm there the majority of the time, I'm gonna, pat myself on the back at this moment. Anyways, I am Tom, the Whiskey Whisperer, Whiskey Evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, purveyor of wisdom, and oh man, that's delicious. I honestly couldn't tell you which one I like better if I wanted to be honest with you. I like the first one. The chocolate and vanilla really play well together. But then adding the ginger, that vanilla, this really's got that, with the. So if I really wanted to go ginger snap, I might have not used the rye, but I wanted that rye in there to really add some substance. So I really got almost like a ginger snap quality going on. Anyways, back to the beginning. All around good guy. Sláinte.